Hello everyone, and welcome to Late Night Love. I'm Dr. Caroline Heim, and this is Dr. Christian Heim on piano. Welcome to our pod show for preventative mental health. And tonight's topic is understanding self-love.
Self-love.
Self-love. We'll keep on going with love.
We're keeping going with
self-love today, and a really great topic and lots to talk about. But welcome everyone, old friends and new. So glad you could join us. I'm excited. I'm bubbling over, so I'm going to tell you now. Christian's new book, The 7 Love Types, Navigating Love in a Fractured World, is now up on Amazon for pre-sale. Very excited about that book coming out.
Very excited.
So you can go onto Amazon and get it on pre-sale. But if you'd like a sneak peek, you can download a free chapter from that book. So just go onto our website, subscribe to our email list, and you can get that free chapter to give you a bit of a look into it. And we're talking about self-compassion and self-love in that book too, aren't we?
We talk about, we've got basically a chapter that talks about self-love, yes.
Yeah, great. Okay, so we're going to get into that. But look, we're going to have some music at the end, and we're looking really forward to your company.
Bit.
Yeah, and if you've got any questions or comments, please write them in as we go. It's a big topic, and it's a really important topipic at the moment.
Important.
So, are you repeating everything I'm saying?
Do I repeat myself?
Yes.
Do I repeat you?
No, you repeat me. You don't repeat yourself that much. Actually, you do repeat yourself, and sometimes I have to shut you down a bit with that.
I do repeat myself. Do I repeat myself? I do. I repeat myself.
Okay, stop. Okay, let's just jump into this discussion right now.
All right, jumping into
with
love.
the question, what is self-love?
What is self-love?
Yes.
All right, let's just get straight down to it.
Why not? That's it.
Well, but in a sense, that is the million-dollar question.
It is.
All right, if we could understand what self-love actually is, we'd be better at it. And there are a lot of different ideas of what self-love is, and I've got to put this into a context, okay?
Okay.
This is a pod show for preventative mental health.
Sure.
And as a psychiatrist, I know that love protects our mental health.
Yeah.
We have books showing that love protects children from trauma. It stops people from getting too deep with their depression and anxiety. It can prevent suicide because loneliness is a risk factor for suicide. Yeah. And loneliness is as bad for your body as smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Okay.
Okay.
So people who don't have love in their life, right, are at a higher risk than smokers for all-cause mortality.
Okay.
Right? So this is following on from last week where I linked love with life. If we don't get love, we die.
Yeah.
Okay? So we're in a COVID crisis. We're spending a lot more time alone. So this question of self-love, because I can't spend time with other people, so how do I show love to myself? Right? That's what we're starting to talk about. And I want people to understand it, because if you know what self-love is, you'll be able to show yourself self-love much more.
Okay.
But there are forces out there that are trying to bamboozle us. All right?
Okay. Well, what forces?
Well, okay. So I'm talking about marketing, technology,
yes.
Consumerism, hyper-individualism. I love that word, hyper-individualism. All right?
Hyper-individualism.
Makes it look like there's too much of it, and there is.
I'm hyperly individual.
That's right. That's right.
Are you?
And our own prosperity, right? They get in the way of true love all through society, but particularly understanding what self-love is.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So I just want to clarify that. So you're saying there's more about self-love because of the COVID crisis, because as we've seen on other pod shows that people are living alone a lot more,
yes.
and so it becomes a bit more introversive, the love.
Well, there's much more of a need for self-love.
Because of the loneliness.
Yeah, and the other thing that's happening, and we've talked about this before, how we're getting alienated in society. There are many more people living alone. We used to live in families of 5 or 6 people. Now we're living in 2, 2.5, or 1, right? So self-love becomes more important because we're not getting love from each other.
Other people,
okay?
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
And the ultimate love is actually love from each other.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But how do we do that when we're more and more lonely?
Yeah. So you're tying it with loneliness. All right. So you did talk about these forces against us. Okay?
I did.
All right.
I did.
So, and you talked about the media and things like that. But okay, let's look at it. Let's look at it contextually. Okay, why are all social media platforms filled with self-love? You've been talking about it, but even pre-COVID, we had it a little bit.
We did.
Okay,
we
be
had it a
kind.
lot.
Yeah, we had it a lot. Be kind to yourself. Make yourself a priority. Take care of you. Love yourself. Is everyone in the world feeling so broken and loveless?
I actually think so, okay?
You do?
I do. There's a lot more brokenness, there's a lot more loneliness.
Yeah.
I don't have the studies to back that up, but we do know that depression rates are rising, anxiety rates are rising, and suicide rates for the last 20 years have been rising alarmingly. And in this COVID crisis, you and I hear about the suicide stories, okay? And you're sort of going, why? And I strongly believe that loneliness and a lack of love is one of the reasons that the suicide rates are rising. So we're going to get back to love and
let's
self-love.
get back to love and we'll lift it up a bit.
Because it's good for preventative mental health. And this is what we're on about.
Yes,
preventative mental health. So the more love.
What's good about self-love for preventative mental health then?
What's good about it? Well, just what I said. It protects you from suicide, protects you from anxiety, protects you from depression. And if you end up having a mental illness, your recovery rates are much shorter. Okay? And I quoted that study where loneliness, or a lack of love, is as bad for the body as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Right? Okay. So that's why. But I've noticed you haven't picked me up on not answering the question about self-love.
I'm just about to.
But the thing is that a lot of people are actually, they're quite frustrated with the idea of self-love because they try self-love and you know what? They're either faking it, lying to themselves, okay, afraid that they're going to get narcissistic, right?
We've got to talk about that.
Afraid that they're going to cut out other people from their lives. And self-love is not my ideal of self-love because I'd rather be sharing love with other people. So how do we sort of find an answer to all these things?
To all of those things, okay. But I'd still want to go back a little bit to the cause because before we get into...
Cause?
Yeah. What is self-love a bit more.
Right.
Because you talked about media and everything and then this isolation and everything.
Yes.
But honestly, some people just really hate themselves. I've had students say that to me. I hate myself, okay? And I believe that's really, really, really hard to deal with.
Yes,
People that get to the point, that always say, and I've had students say this time and time again, I really hate myself, or I hate myself today, or I really dislike this just keeps on going, and so it's not just this isolation.
No, it's definitely
not just that.
It is not just that, okay. But given that we used to live in larger family groups where we got our love tanks filled by other people, we are now in a situation where more and more we don't have those people around us. So we're not getting our love tank filled from other people. So it's like, I've got to fill my own love tank. How do I do that if I hate myself? Now, this is going to sound controversial, but as a clinical psychiatrist, I got to say this has been my experience. It is much easier to hate yourself than to love yourself, right? And the reason is actually quite clear, because you are more aware of your thoughts and feelings than anybody else. I'm more aware of my thoughts and feelings than anybody else, right? And because all of our brains organize the whole universe around ourselves, and we all have this innate need to survive, so a survival instinct, a lot of our thoughts and our feelings are really very selfish.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah. And we're alarmed by that. We go, whoa.
Yes, we are. We are. So first thing I want to do is to say, having selfish thoughts and selfish feelings is actually quite normal.
Yeah.
And because of that, because we know ourselves, it becomes much easier to hate ourselves. Oh, you think I'm a good person? Well, no. I know what's really going on.
Yeah, let me tell you what's really going on.
Let me tell you what's really going on.
My thoughts?
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't believe what's going on in my mind.
That's right. Yeah. So the question is, how do you actually love somebody who has those selfish thoughts, those selfish feelings? And you can. And that's what we're going to get to today.
Yeah, okay, yeah. All right. So selfishness, and that's okay. That's okay. But isn't it also that we're comparing what we're seeing on the internet and seeing all these people that are so giving and loving, and we go, "Oh my gosh, that's totally not me," you know?
Right. So we're actually comparing other people's appearances with our insides. Right, so this is where social media is actually harmful. People do not post, "I've had a really lousy day today, I'm feeling hopeless, I said some dreadful things to my partner."
Yeah.
Nobody posts that.
Yeah.
Everybody looks like they're having a great time, and then we see this and we go, "You know what, I'm not having such a great time."
Yeah.
Where the truth is that not many people are having the great time that they are projecting in their appearances.
Yes.
Right? So because of that, we're under pressure. We're not having such a good time. And so it has to do with where you get your self-worth too.
Yeah,
if you get your sense of self-worth from the internet, right, then you're going to start comparing yourself with what's there on the internet, and you're not going to stack up terribly well.
No, you're not
Nobody
going
actually does.
Yeah.
Nobody. Nobody stacks up to this ridiculous ideal that we are putting up there as to what a great time is, okay? It's a farce. It's a lie. It's one of the lies of society.
Yeah, and
right?
it's also the appearances, you know, and they look at that appearance on the internet, and then they go and look in a mirror and they go, "Oh, I hate myself," you know? So, and this value in appearances too.
Yes.
Yeah. And you don't stack up there either. So then I hate myself, you know. So it's what we value too in life, hey?
It's not just what we value. It's this competitive nature that we have. All right, this idea to get to the top of some sort of hierarchy, to say I'm the best.
Yeah.
Well, how many people are at the top? Not many. And the people that are at the top often have deficits in other areas, right? So people who are at the top look like they're having a fantastic time because they have all the things that we think we want. They've got the money, they've got the fame, so they must have a great life. Studies show that fame is correlated with unhappiness.
Really?
Yeah. So the more famous you are, the more unhappy you are.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
What's going on in their mind? Yeah.
Well, it's not just what's going on in their mind, it's the pressures that they're under.
Yeah,
Imagine being so famous that you're not sure if the next person that you're talking to is trying to get something out of you for yourself.
And are they loving you for really yourself?
Or sort of, do all of a sudden I have more friends here because these people want to hang out with somebody who's more famous? Or do I all of a sudden have all these acquaintances because I happen to have a lot of money? Right? So you have this insecurity. Who really loves me? Okay. Last week we saw Mum. Mum really loves you.
Mum loves you. Hope you took up our challenge from last week. Called your mum. I saw my wonderful mum.
Yeah, but you become more insecure about the people around you.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's look at this idea of self-importance and fame. All right. So there's a study out that basically shows that 30% of people fantasize about being really famous, okay? And 40% of people actually expect that somewhere in their life, they're going to have their 15 minutes of fame, all right? That's what Andy Warhol said, that we'd all be famous for 15 minutes, and they'd feel cheated if they didn't get their time to be famous. 30% of the population. All right, that's pretty high. 40%, all right, want some fame. Okay, so that means 1 in 3 people expect, want, derive some of their life ambition from being famous.
Yeah.
Now, the reality of how many of us get to be famous.
Give me those percentages.
Right. It's close to 1 out of 100,000 people.
Oh, yeah.
So. And it depends on how you define fame, obviously. But the chances of any of us becoming famous are really, really small, all right? So if most of us want to become famous and so very few of us are going to, that leaves this huge gap. And that gap keeps people unhappy.
Yeah. And then that's where we bring self-love in to fulfill that gap, because we need to learn how to do that a bit more.
Okay, back to the topic. What a good idea.
Yeah, good idea. Little foray there, but an important one, because it it makes us hate ourselves, things like that. Yeah.
Well, more and more people are getting their sense of self-worth from the internet.
Yeah.
So you're going to be bombarded with false ideas. You're going to be comparing. You're going to be always wishing that you had more likes or more followers, right? Yeah. And we're like anybody else. Do we want this to become successful? Of course we do. But our sense of self-worth isn't tied up in it.
Yes, that's right.
If this goes absolutely nowhere, well, that's kind of fine, because my sense of self-worth is tied up a lot in our relationship and in our family and the people around us that we know we share love with.
Yes.
They don't care if this becomes successful or not.
No, they just love you for you, not for what you do, but for you.
Yes, and the more isolated people are from the people around them, and the more they get their sense of self-worth from the internet, the more they are under that pressure to actually succeed.
Okay, right.
Whereas the chances of failure, quite frankly, are far higher.
Yeah.
Get used to failing.
Yeah, I know, but you learn through failure. We'll talk about that another time.
Will we? All right.
Yeah, okay. All right. So let's go back to the topic, because I do want to just briefly talk about narcissism, because you talked about that. The interesting thing is the older generations would think that self-love is something that's a bit selfish and about you, and they talk a bit more about selflessness, or, so let's talk about narcissism and what's the difference between narcissism and self-love, because there is a difference, isn't there?
Okay, so let's go for categories. There's a big category called self-love.
Yeah.
And narcissism is a
It's a subcategory.
Subcategory.
Okay, yeah.
But it'll be quite obvious that as a psychiatrist, I will say that narcissism is an unhealthy type of self-love.
Yeah.
Right? But what you said about older generations and younger generations is very valid, all right? So there was a study on one statement, and the statement was, I am an important person.
Mm-hmm. There was a study done on that statement.
Yeah.
Why, were a lot of people using that statement, or it was just a random thing?
It's basically a survey. Do you agree with this statement?
Oh, okay.
I am an important person.
Yeah.
Now, today you would almost expect everybody to say, yes, I'm an important person. In the 1990s, however, it was only 75% of people that agreed with that statement, I am an important person.
Wow.
But in 1963, it was only 12% of people.
Gee, so you see the self-esteem rising. Yeah.
Well, okay, so what does it mean to be an important person?
Yeah, I know, you've got to pull that apart.
Well, that's right. And as far as all of society is concerned, the objective thing is you're about as important as 7 billion other people.
Yeah.
All right? Mm-hmm. But the thing is that we more and more see life and experience life from our point of view. In fact, you have a whole generation being told that you're special, okay? You get a whole generation being told that you can be anything you want and you can do anything you want, right?
And what's the answer to that? Come on, give it to us, Dr. Hyam.
The answer?
Yeah. Can we be anything we want?
Okay, well, logically, no.
Yeah.
Right? At least we should be telling people you can be anything that you want to be if you work hard at it.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
But so many people in their 20s have to realize that people have been lying to them when they say you can be anything that you want to be.
Yeah.
Because they find out that, one, that is actually not true.
Yeah.
Okay? And secondly, when they say that you're special, that feels good to say that I'm special.
Yeah.
But when you realize that there are 7 billion other people in this world, all of a sudden that specialness goes down. So I tell parents, say you are special, to say to your children, you are very special to us.
Yeah, you are special to me. Yeah, and they are, of course. They're all unique and beautiful children. And
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. They are,
beautiful.
and they are special.
And,
to you, to me,
to
us.
Yeah, that's right. And that's where they'll get their love cup full anyway. So
that's right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So on to narcissism.
Yes, narcissism. Yes.
Narcissism and children.
Yes.
Okay. So we're looking for the causes of narcissism, and by the way. Narcissistic personality disorder is a disorder to psychiatrists, and the rate of this disorder is increasing alarmingly. All right.
Wow.
So you sort of say, okay, so what makes somebody narcissistic? Okay, so psychoanalysts have looked at this, and they basically look at parenting, and they say somebody who got too much praise and not enough criticism. So you need this balance of praise and criticism. Or somebody who got too much criticism and not enough praise.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or people who are praised simply for their appearances. All right?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
What a lovely looking child you are. You know, sort of how wonderful you are. Oh, I didn't have to do anything for this.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
Or people who get praised for having a special gift, like playing the piano. Oh,
Yes.
aren't you a clever little
Yes,
boy?
yes.
Right? It means that you're being praised for something that you do. And so what happens then, it's sort of like, well, if I don't do this well, then I'm not a good boy. Or all of a sudden, if I don't look good, right, I'm not a good person, right? So it ties your sense of self to what you do rather than who you are, okay? And so the idea is you praise somebody just for being special in our life.
Yeah.
All right?
And that's what self-love should be rather than...
Well, in parenting.
Yeah, in parenting,
okay?
yeah.
So for our children, all right, so we would praise them if they did
Yeah.
well academically.
Yeah.
But then I'd make a comment of, you know, but if you never did well, okay, we're still going to love you.
Yeah.
Right? So that there's a difference between what they do, what they achieve,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's all right to praise achievements. But you want to make it quite clear that I'm just going to love you.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Because you're
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah,
you know?
because you're so uniquely beautiful in you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so there's a temperamental thing, all right?
Yeah.
People who are born with a temperament that's oversensitive, right, have more of a risk of being narcissistic.
Narcissistic,
Yeah,
okay.
that's right.
Oh, wow.
And then there's people who have experienced trauma, have
Yeah.
more of a risk of being narcissistic.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're all this childhood sort of things. But increasingly, it's society. It's just being part of a prosperous nation.
Yeah.
So we've done studies to show that people in Western developed nations are much more narcissistic than people in developing nations. There's one good study done between East and West Germany to show that the individualism of West Germany made for more narcissistic personality disorder.
Okay.
Right? So there's a lot more, and all of psychiatry is learning this, that's happening because of our culture, because of our values, and because of the way society exists. The more you value things like fame, money, prosperity, appearances, and dominating other people,
Yeah.
the more chance you're going to be narcissistic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Having said all of that, because I've just given a long list,
Yes, you have,
and
yes.
people are going to go, oh, that's me.
That part's me.
Oh,
I
that
can put my
part's
hand up for at
me.
least 3 of those.
Yeah, well, so can I.
Yeah.
Okay. How often have I been told that I'm oversensitive? Right? That's me.
Many times, yeah.
That's right, many times.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. We are all actually narcissistic.
Okay.
We are all beings that are self-centered and selfish. But here's the thing. What we tend to do is keep a check on that just so that it doesn't get too much for all the people around us.
Yeah. We'll put a cap on that one.
That's right. We have to put a cap on ourselves
Yeah.
so we can get on well with other people.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so people who are narcissistic, who actually get the diagnosis of the disorder,
Yes.
are people whose selfishness gets to the point where it's really affecting their life.
Yeah. And their relationships.
And their
particularly.
relationships,
Yeah.
okay? Okay, so let me take a stereotype. The stereotype of, let me not take a stereotype, all right? I just decided it's not a good idea.
No, not a good idea.
Okay,
yeah.
but you take a few professions that have like a lot of responsibility.
Yes.
They're very important people.
Yes,
all right?
yes.
Let's say high court judges, very
Yes,
important people.
yes.
All right. If they are full of their self-importance and they want to do the best job that they can, and they know that they have to be there, and that they are special because they're a high court judge,
Yeah.
that's not narcissism.
No,
All right.
no.
But if they are so full of themselves that their spouse leaves them, their children won't talk to them, and they're not functioning well at work, then you sort of go, you've got a problem.
Yeah. I understand.
Right.
Okay. All right.
And so people with narcissism are at more of a risk of depression as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, everyone
Yeah.
leaves them, I guess.
And suicide.
Really?
Well, that's exactly right.
It's really sad, but that's actually what happens.
Right.
They're not happy people to be. I mean, you don't want to be around them because it's all about them.
Well, see, this is the interesting thing, all right?
Yeah.
Because in our culture, we actually value narcissism a lot.
Well, that's true.
Okay, they
Make
tend
it to
to
the
be-
top with that.
They
yeah.
make it to the top. They're very cool, all
Yeah.
right? They have this charisma about them, but they know how to use it to exploit
Yeah.
people around
Yeah.
them, okay? And their values are normally the superficial sort of things, like, I'll buy myself 3 Ferraris, I'll have all these gorgeous outfits, I want to get all the people, I want to deny myself nothing, and go, oh, that feels so good, and some of it does feel good.
Yeah, but interesting question. Is that just a cover-up because they actually hate themselves underneath too? Or, I mean, in your practice, have you seen that at all?
Okay, so...
I guess it's different for different people.
Yeah, it is. It is different for different people. In the end, a lot of people, when they realise how narcissistic they are and realise how much they've hurt other people, because narcissists tend to exploit other people, all right? They then become depressed.
Okay, so that's the trajectory.
Yeah, but people don't normally turn up to a psychiatrist's office and say, I'm really narcissistic, can you help me, all right?
No, it's true. And a lot of them aren't as self-aware to know that about themselves.
That's
too.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
So the thing that really is difficult for most of us with people who are very narcissistic is their lack of empathy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And because they lack empathy, they don't care what you're going through. They care how you make them look. All right? And that's what tends to drive us away from people whose narcissism is too much.
Yeah.
All right?
Okay, good. All right. I want to really concentrate for the rest of the time on self-love, because the question actually was, what is the difference between narcissism and self-love? So can you just differentiate now?
Remember, self-love is an overarching term.
Yes, I know, and it's a component of it. But
narcissism is a component of self-love,
yeah.
right? And after this, we're going to go to self-compassion.
Oh, good.
Which is healthy self-love.
Yeah, okay.
But I didn't want to say that now because we want to get to that later.
Yeah,
okay?
so let's talk self-love. What does it look like then?
No, to talk self-love, we've got to talk about unhealthy self-love, which is narcissism.
Okay, good, yeah.
And healthy self-love, which is self-compassion.
So we're going to go around that way. We're going to do compassion.
That's the only way to do it.
Okay, all right, let's do it. Let's talk self-compassion, because that's...
No, we're still in narcissism.
Oh my gosh, you're getting me so mixed up.
No, just imagine a graph that says self-love up here.
Yes.
One component is narcissism, which I'm calling unhealthy self-love.
Yes.
And then compassion, self-compassion, is healthy self-love.
Yes.
So to talk about self-love, I can't talk about self-love apart from these.
Yeah.
I've got to talk about our perception of self-love.
Yes.
And how at the moment there's a perception out there that self-love is narcissism. And people go, oh, but wait, I don't want to be narcissistic. So what is self-love? And the answer to that is going to be that healthy self-love is self-compassion.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
But we've got to stay in narcissism.
Okay, to get there.
Right?
I understand now. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Stay in narcissism.
Well,
do your thing in narcissism.
All right. So I was looking for songs for today.
Yeah.
All right. And I ventured into hip hop and rap music.
Oh yeah.
And oh my gosh, did I find a whole lot of songs that glorify narcissism.
Oh, really?
That's right. The number of times
what a surprise.
the number of times that words like me, myself, and I came up, right?
Yes.
And a whole lot of songs just are based on me, I'm the greatest, okay, and what I want, and all of this, right?
Yeah.
Whereas songs of 50 years ago, you are so beautiful. This is your song. You light up my life. You make me feel brand new, right? And it was all you-centered, right? And even before the 60s, love had a more of a formal feel to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so part of what's happening is a normal outgrowth of consumerism and having fun, okay, in discovering yourself. And this particularly happens in late teenage years when you're awakened to a whole lot of feelings and who you actually are and you're part of this world. And you know what? It feels really good to go out on a Saturday night, to dance, to make it with people and to dress up and to feel really good. But here's the thing, that's not life. That's part of life. And that leads to these narcissistic feelings, all right? I feel really good about myself. Look how good I look. Look how people are attracted to me. Oh, I know about these drinks, you know, and I want to have this wardrobe and know about all of these things.
So the ego basically takes over.
The ego takes over, and narcissistic self-love is based on very superficial things. It's based on appearances. It's based on your personality, all right? It's based on being accepted by people for very superficial things rather than being accepted for who you are.
So being the center of attention and needing that and craving it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So we get to the Greek person Narcissus.
Oh, Narcissus. Yes, let's go there.
All right. So basically, a lot of people know the Greek myth where Narcissus saw himself in a lake and he became enamored of himself. Before that, all right, he was attracting a lot of these wood nymphs, all right? He was feeling really good.
Going for the wood nymphs, yeah.
That's right. And one of these wood nymphs was called Echo, right? And she thought, oh, he's such a great-looking guy. And went to give him a hug, and he says, basically, get off me. You're not good enough for me.
You're going to mess up my hair.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. That's right. So she ended up killing herself, and only her voice was left. And she was bound just to say the last things that somebody else said, is Echo. But to punish Narcissus, Nemesis actually got him to look in the lake so that he would fall in love with himself. But here's the thing. Two things. Firstly, he knew that he could never have real love, that this love could not manifest.
Yeah.
And secondly, he got the feeling that love for himself was not enough. So he committed suicide, right?
That's so sad. I don't remember that part of the story.
No. People
we
don't.
all remember the gaze into the river at yourself.
The gaze into the river, yeah. But the thing is that people who have narcissistic tendencies, strong, are at an increased risk for depression.
Oh my gosh,
and
that
suicide.
story is such a great example of how that can happen. Yeah.
And it's what we don't want.
Yeah.
But people get confused if all of society is saying, these are the things that I want, money, fame, the cars, the outfits. How am I going to love myself if they're the sort of things I'm being told to like?
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, great.
We get to go to self-compassion now.
We get to go to self-compassion.
She's been waiting for this for about 5 minutes now.
Well, one of my questions, what is healthy self-love?
Yeah,
and you're
so
saying
healthy,
it is self-compassion.
Self-compassion
Okay,
is healthy self-love.
Let's talk
Narcissism.
About it. Yeah.
So the again, just to finish off on narcissism.
Yes.
Because other people don't like it, you end up losing love.
Yeah.
If you're losing friends because of your narcissism, all right, you're actually getting less and less love in life.
Yeah.
So you're only with yourself, and it's not enough.
Yes.
You can't sit there in self-indulgent bliss and say this is love.
No. I love you. Yeah, you can't just immerse yourself in yourself so much and you just get caught up in that because it's just it's just not going to be enough.
And that's where self-compassion comes in.
Okay,
because self-compassion actually takes you out of Narcissus's lake, right? And you actually end up dipping into the pool of love.
Okay, and
of
how do
all
we do
humanity.
that? How do we do that? Take
By
us
understanding
there.
what compassion is.
Okay, so, and that's part of what we talk about actually on our podcasts. We're living for preventative health, love, and compassion, because compassion's so important in this world, especially with everything that's going on at the moment. Yeah. So compassion.
Okay, so the bottom line is this: you are a human being, just like everybody else, that deserves as much love as everybody else deserves.
Yeah. So
and even if you know your selfish thoughts and feelings, you still deserve as much love as everybody else does.
You say that to people out there, because there's some people that are going to be not feeling that they like themselves very much.
No, that's right. That's right. If you like yourself or not, if your thoughts are selfish, if your feelings are self-centered, you are a human being just like everybody else, and you deserve love, and as much love as everybody else does.
Yeah, great, thank you. That's really important.
We
need to hear this. We need to write it on our walls.
Okay, so, and it's not easy to do.
No.
All right? We all actually need to practice it.
Okay.
Okay? So let's get more into this definition of compassion so that we understand it a bit more. You remember my favorite part of the brain? The anterior singular gyrus. All right.
You can actually say it with us now if you've been watching.
On the count of three.
Anterior singular gyrus. That's the way.
Okay, so that's a part of the limbic system.
Yeah.
And it's basically involved in empathy.
Yeah.
Now, empathy is not compassion, and the difference is actually very, very important. Empathy is that feeling when you see somebody else in pain, all right? Somebody who's just broken up in a relationship and you go, oh, that feels awful.
Yeah.
Or you go past a car accident and you go, oh my God, that's terrible.
Yeah, so you're feeling into the situation or into the person's pain.
And it's just a feeling.
Yeah,
I won't say just a feeling. I don't want to belittle it, but I'm saying it's only a feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Compassion, however, and in the last 5 years, we've actually got the brain scans to show the difference.
Yeah.
Compassion happens in the anterior cingulate gyrus, but also in the frontal lobe, in the prefrontal cortex. So in other words, compassion has to do with our thinking as well.
Yeah, okay.
So compassion not only feels, oh my God, that's terrible,
Yeah.
but it then asks the question, what is the best thing that I can do now? And so compassion means you're going to be helpful.
It's very practical then.
It's very practical.
It's very outward looking because it's, or it's actually, well, it's doing oriented. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thinking comes first.
Yes.
And this is the main difference between empathy and compassion. It's got this thinking component that stands outside of the feelings to sort of say, okay, what's the best thing for me to do or to respond in this situation?
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
And that can make all the difference.
Yeah.
Okay? So let's say we go to an unhealthy self-love and we go, okay, I've got to love myself. Well, that means getting a bit more ice cream and chocolate. That means getting things. That means more money. That means enjoying myself more.
Yeah, I'm working on my appearances and taking care of all these things.
Yeah, but none of that is love, okay? So to love a child, you don't plaster them in chocolate, movies, you don't indulge them, okay? You have this thinking part that says, okay, if I am responsible for this child, what is the best thing for this child?
Yeah.
And sure, it's going to be to have some fun sometimes,
Yeah.
but it's also going to be to guide the child through this thing called life and to keep it away from things that are not good for the child, right? Because you're taking responsibility for the child.
Yeah.
So being loving, compassionately loving, means saying, no, that's not good for you. And your motive is what is best for the child.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So we can learn about how to be compassionate to ourselves by how we would treat a child.
Yes.
Then. Yeah. Especially our own child. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, any child. You give any adult a child and say, you're responsible for this for the next 24 hours.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. I've got to make sure that this thing is still alive. All right. No, it's seriously.
It's true.
Okay. You worry.
Yeah.
All right. So all of a sudden, you're making sure that the child is not on the road, is not playing with the stove, and there are all these things that the child is not allowed to do. Right.
And gets the best thing for them.
And gets the best thing
and
for
you have to
them.
know what that is. But
That's
we
right.
intuitively know that for children. So why don't we intuitively know it for ourselves then?
Because we mix up love with pleasure.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
We think that if we give ourselves the things that are pleasurable, that we're being loving to ourselves.
Yeah.
We're being nice, we're being indulgent, all right? But we're not being loving to ourselves because sometimes some of those pleasures are not good for us.
No, we find that out the next day. That's true.
Okay, so let's go through a fuller definition of what compassion is, all right? Compassion is being open to and moved by somebody else's pain and suffering.
Oh, yeah.
So self-compassion is being open to and being moved by your own pain and suffering. So in other words, it's all right to say, you know what, Christian? You're going through a hard time at the moment.
Yeah.
That feels awful.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
It's also about having an understanding, an accepting, and a non-judgmental attitude towards yourself.
Yeah.
Now that's actually really hard.
Yeah.
Because guess what? I screw up often, all right? Particularly
Yeah,
socially.
how much
I make a lot of
self-judgment. Well, what do you mean? Oh, yes, you do. That's true.
Okay, and I've just got to understand that.
Yeah.
I've just got to understand why that is.
Yeah.
And say,
Well, that's
Christian, what you got to do is just a little bit of this and a bit less of that. Okay.
Self-talk then.
Self-talk, right? But the compassion side of it is saying, what is best? Well, I just want you to do a bit better next time, Christian.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you fail.
Yeah.
All right? Because you too, and this is more compassion, are human. You have strengths, Christian. You have weaknesses, Christian, just like 7 billion other people around here.
Yeah.
But you too deserve love,
Yeah.
just like everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is a feeling component because you do actually want to cultivate feelings of loving kindness towards yourself. All right? You don't have to be passionately in love with yourself, all right? But just loving kindness. Just it's okay to be you, Christian.
Yeah,
it's okay, right? And then there's the thinking component.
Yeah.
The thinking component that says, all right, what is the best thing to do in this situation?
Yeah.
Because if I'm going to be compassionate with myself, I can't let myself get away with everything.
Yeah.
I've got to find out what the best thing is to do.
Yeah.
I've got to guide myself through life.
So basically be that parent to yourself.
That's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, I like to sort of think to be a trusted friend to yourself.
Okay, yeah.
If you're a trusted friend or a trusted ally or a trusted mentor to yourself, you'll sort of, a good friend, when you screw up, okay, if everybody else leaves you, the friend says, looks like you screwed up, Christian, you know.
Yeah, but I'm still here.
But I'm still here, that's right.
Yeah.
So you've got to be that friend. You've got to be there. I still believe in you. You fell down again. What do you need so you can pick yourself up?
Yeah.
All right, I'll be there. We will do that, right? And a trusted friend, if you're sort of saying, I want a real binge tonight and I'm going to inject myself with heroin for the first time, a friend goes, Christian, can we think about this? All right, this is maybe not the best thing for you. I want what's best for you. I see a better future for you than this, Christian. All right, and whatever that better future is, you want to be your own trusted friend to sort of say, hey, you can just a bit better than this.
So that's, okay.
That's self-compassion.
That's self-compassion, yeah.
It's self-compassion.
And it's quite active too, like we were saying. It's practical. It's something to do. You actually have to
It's very
think
active.
And then actively do something about it.
It's very active. And here's the thing, when you practice self-compassion, you don't cut yourself off from the love of other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
In fact, when people see that you're at peace with yourself, more comfortable with yourself, more accepting of yourself, you're going to be more accepting of other people.
Yeah, that's
all
true.
right? Which means the love keeps flowing.
And,
And so people who are self-compassionate tend to be open to love with other people and be able to share that love with other people.
Yeah. So if narcissists could certainly learn that, that would be a wonderful bridge then to be able to open up to other people.
And they can. And they have, I've seen that.
Yeah, this loving yourself through self-compassion.
Yes.
That's the healthy kind of
That's
self-love.
the healthy self-love, yeah.
And then when you love yourself, you can open yourself to the love of other people. And I guess that sort of inhibits us from being open to the love of other people if we hate ourselves so much.
Yes, it does.
It stops that.
It does.
I'm unlovable, so I'm not going to reach out to you, or I'm going to put up this false self.
Yeah, okay. So to say I'm unlovable is a judgment.
Yeah.
All right? So it's got to be something like, Christian, I know you I know you lie occasionally, all right? But everybody's got strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
We will work on that.
Yeah.
But you are still deserving of love.
Yeah, that's really good.
Okay.
Right.
Hard.
It's hard. Okay,
Takes
we're going to
a lot of practice.
It does. We're going to get to some practicals on that.
Are we?
But yes, we are.
Okay,
we always
good.
have a hope section. Okay, but we actually had a question come in.
Oh, did we?
This morning, believe it or not.
Okay.
Okay, because everyone knew we were talking about self-love. So this is one of our viewers said, one of our regulars, self-love is important. It helps us to love and treat others with respect. I like it that the viewer talked about others immediately.
Yes.
How does self-forgiveness play into this? And then the viewer was talking about how they were looking back to regrets of the past, had to forgive the person who they were at that time.
Yeah, that's right.
Me.
Yeah, that's right. That's a very good comment. It brings up a few things.
Thank you for that.
Respect is part of self-compassion.
Yeah.
Respect is part of compassion for other people, right? Respect is respecting who somebody else is without wanting to change them.
Yeah.
Right? So respect for yourself is sort of saying, okay, let's just accept who you are at the moment. Okay? If you want to change certain things, we'll work on that together. All right? And the other thing was the need for forgiveness.
Yeah.
And this is true of everybody.
Yeah.
Okay? You yourself know the things that you have done more than anybody else does, which is why that self-forgiveness is actually, it's much more difficult than we realize.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the coming months, we're going to talk about forgiveness because I've looked at this thing about forgiveness because I work with people who have committed atrocities and have been the victims of atrocities, okay? So they need to forgive themselves or forgive somebody else. And it's hard, all right? Because forgiveness seems to be the opposite of justice. Right? So we buck up when somebody has to forgive. And a lot of people are not great at forgiveness.
Yeah.
And I include myself in that. It's just really difficult. So forgiveness is not just a decision, all right? It's a whole process. And the process means understanding what happened, accepting what happened, then dealing with the injustices of the situation, and then letting go of the emotions.
Yeah.
So it's a huge process, and
Yeah.
I will get into it
We
in
will.
a few months' time.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it is related in a way because
It's hugely related.
Yeah, especially self-forgiveness, because
Self-forgiveness
you
is...
carry these things. And
Yeah.
I mean, you can forgive me, but I can't forgive myself, you know.
It's
and that's
easier to
quite
forgive
often.
somebody else than yourself.
is, yeah.
Because you yourself are so aware of your intentions and your
Yeah.
thoughts and your
Yeah.
motivations. And,
Yeah.
and it's sort of like
Yeah.
very hard.
Yeah, really hard. Okay, all right. Let's get into some hope.
So
and some
I'm
practicals.
sorry I can't give you a practical on all
because
of that.
it'll take too long too. So
Well,
yeah.
also there's not that such great information out there on forgiveness.
No, there isn't.
Okay,
Yeah.
in a scientific context,
Yeah.
and that's something that I will look at in coming months. All right.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, all right. Oh my gosh, there's a blower outside. Maybe you can't hear it, but some's got a big blower and they're going...
Leaf blower.
Sorry, a leaf blower. I don't know what they call it in America.
I don't know either.
What do you call it? A leaf blower, probably. I don't know. Tell us. Anyway, so that's why I was just finding it hard to concentrate. But yes, hope. Let's talk about some practicals of what we can do in the self-compassion area because, yeah. Well, give us some hope.
Okay, so the hope is in practicing self-compassion.
Yeah.
Right. Self-compassion, by the way, in the literature is a fairly new area.
Yeah, it's only just starting to hit the social media platforms at the moment, actually.
And it's not that easy,
Yeah.
right? So I would look up all the information that you can, but get a good idea of what compassion is, right?
Yeah, that's a starting point.
Compassion is the starting point.
Yeah.
And look, I got to say I was a bit uncomfortable talking about self-love before we've talked about what all the different love types are.
Yeah,
okay?
which we'll do next week.
Which we'll do next week. But
Yeah.
we'll come back to self-compassion because to understand self-compassion and self-love, we actually need to know the gamut of love before applying it to ourselves, which is why in the book it's the last chapter.
It's the last chapter. You finally get there. You finally learn what
because
love is.
you've got to practice it with other people first.
Yeah, and then to love yourself.
And then you know what it feels like, and you go, yeah, I'll have some of that.
Yeah.
But okay, so the main thing about compassion is those four things: being open to pain and suffering, having an accepting, understanding, non-judgmental attitude. All right, the thinking component. What is the best thing for me as a person? Okay, and then the feeling component. How can I cultivate feelings of loving kindness towards myself?
Yes.
And so the hope is in actually being a friend to yourself. If you decided that you wanted to be the best friend that you could possibly be to another person who was willing to be your friend, what would you do as a friend?
Yeah, what would you do for yourself then? Yeah.
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 So if you work out what you would do for somebody else, you would care for them, you would respect them, you would take some responsibility for them. You'd also have a bit of fun with them too, all right? Okay, I'm not taking the fun away.
Get in your pajamas and have a nice fun night, yeah.
And another big practical is whatever you see on the internet, whatever songs you listen to that are talking about what a great person I am, enjoy them. They are wonderful. I do, but don't take them seriously.
Yeah.
All right? Narcissism is only appearance deep. Compassion goes all the way to the core.
Yeah, yeah. Can I just throw something in here as far as the practicals? I know that it really helps me, and I don't know it helps other people, but it certainly helps me when I talk about what it is that I don't like about myself to someone else.
Yeah.
So can someone else come in on this and help you with your self-compassion?
Well, as soon as you're sharing something with somebody else, there are much stronger feelings of love.
Yeah.
Because that's why we've got to get into listening, okay?
Yeah.
When somebody listens to your story, all right, and they go, wow, I didn't know all of that.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
get this feeling of being understood.
Yeah,
You get this feeling of being accepted, okay? And it's a wonderful feeling, and it's part of this feeling of compassion and love, all right? To do that for yourself, it's sort of like, yeah, I know your story, don't tell me your story,
Yeah,
right? We
yeah.
tend to be dismissive of ourselves,
Yeah, yeah.
all right? So one way of being compassionate is actually write out your story,
Yeah,
right?
nice,
So that
yeah.
you listen to your own story and you go,
Yeah.
oh, now I'm beginning to understand why certain things have happened and why I am a certain way. Things happened in my childhood that I haven't let go of,
Yeah,
all right?
yeah.
And then that leads you to an action as well. Well, what can I do to let go of this?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But there's also the risk of when you actually share something with someone and you say, you know, these are my thoughts, and then they say, oh no, you're not like that, and then, but you're saying, yes, I am. I actually am that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and in a way, you're just so hard on yourself sometimes.
Yes. We are all very hard on ourselves, okay? And this is where the idea of authenticity comes in,
Yeah,
all right?
yeah.
You don't want to fake self-love.
No.
You don't want to fake self-compassion.
No, that's the big thing, isn't it? Yeah.
And a lot of people are under pressure to do that.
Yeah.
Well, you know, everybody out there seems to be loving themselves and having such a great time. I don't love myself. I'll fake it.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people go with this fake energy of, oh yeah, I'm having a really great time.
Yeah.
And inside they're dying.
It's like positive thinking. It's the same sort of thing. I'm positive. It's the same thing with
Yes.
self-love. Yes.
Yes. So you've got to be honest with yourself. You actually have no choice.
Yeah, well, that's true. I know, because you've got to live with your own thoughts. So
So these are my strengths. These are my weaknesses.
Yeah.
All right. But just in doing that, you've already got this part of you that says, I want to feel better about myself.
Yeah.
And you'll start to like that.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to feel better about yourself? Yeah, I do actually. That's nice.
Yeah.
Says the other part of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want that for you too.
Good. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And that's
yeah.
being a trusted friend.
And that self-talk coming back.
And that's self-talk. You know,
Yeah.
it feels a bit artificial,
Yeah,
but it really
I
is a
know.
friendship situation.
Yeah.
And it takes time.
Yeah, I like it. So you're a friend to yourself.
Okay, so the real practical is this. When we're feeling bad, we tend to do things to stop feeling bad, all right? So we get onto the internet, get into some of our favourite clips
binge,
or some of our things that we're into.
Or we eat lots of chocolate.
Because what we're doing is actually we're avoiding that feeling, okay? Sometimes you've got to just close the laptop and go, damn it, I'm feeling bad. And then you sit and you go, what are you feeling bad about? Write it down.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
Where did this feeling come from? Okay, what's the root of it?
Yeah.
Okay, is there something that you haven't let go of? Is it some standard that you have that's just way too high? Is it an expectation that's way too high? Do you know about high expectations?
Highest of yourself usually too, yeah.
Well, that's right, and this is why we are so hard on ourselves. And then you treat yourself like a friend. Well, if this was happening to a friend, what would I say?
Yeah, yeah.
First thing you'd say is, don't be so hard on yourself.
It's true.
Be gentle with yourself.
Be gentle
Go
with
for a
yourself.
walk. Have a bath.
Yeah,
Sort of make yourself a cup of tea. Let's have a chat about this.
How many times have I said be gentle with yourself to people during
Yeah,
COVID year?
Yeah. And I do the same.
Yeah.
And I fail.
Yeah,
I'm not very gentle with myself.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So that's the other thing that we want to say. This is actually hard work.
Yeah, it
all
is.
right?
It's really hard work.
It's not that some people
and it's
have-
not going to be overnight. Yeah.
No,
No way.
No,
Yeah,
it takes a
yeah,
lot of time to actually accept yourself. And if you get to the stage where you say, rather than I love myself, I just accept myself.
Yeah,
That's
just to
already
get
good.
that's great.
That's
That's
great.
excellent. Just to get there. Yeah. Okay. Great. So one, I know that we've covered a lot. So just one challenge for the week.
Yeah, one challenge
Have
for
you
the
got one?
Yeah, the one challenge for the week is when you're feeling down, see if even if you do it once, close the computer lid and talk to a friend, okay? That friend's got to be you. You've got to be the trusted friend for yourself.
Lovely.
And the first thing is you're going to reject yourself. You're going to say something like, I'm sick of you. I don't want to talk to you. Is there anybody else? No, I'm here. I'm it. All right, shall we get to know each other?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's hard to confront yourself sometimes.
Well, it is.
It is.
It's hard to listen to yourself. But you start to sort things out and you get this feeling of being understood and accepted. And the easier thing to do is actually to do that for somebody else first and then do it to yourself, right? Which is why I go through a whole book of how to show love to other people before you get to yourself.
Yes.
But in this COVID crisis, you've got to do it for yourself, you know? Well, some of us do, okay?
Yeah.
If that's too hard, if there is somebody close, particularly a close relative, I'll use mum, right?
Yeah.
You make a phone call and you say, Mum, what do you think of my strengths and weaknesses?
Nice. Yeah.
Mum, what do you like about me? Mum, are there some things that you don't like about me? Right? And your mum will sort of, oh, there's nothing that I don't like about you. No, seriously, Mum, you know, I'm not a perfect person here. I really want to hear at least two things, okay?
Yeah.
And then you go, okay, thanks, Mum.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for listening, Mum.
Yeah.
And then you take that and you sort of go, okay, what do you think about that? What's the best thing for you to do to move forward? Okay. And sometimes there isn't an answer. Sometimes you just got to say, okay, things are a mess at the moment, but I'm going to be here with you. I'm not going to leave you.
Okay, so they're the two challenges. It's two, you see.
Oh,
give us two. You're only meant to give us one. Close that screen and have a talk to the friend that is yourself. Yeah. And if that's too hard and you're just getting bombarded by thoughts of self-judgment and everything, call your mum and talk to her.
Or somebody else who's really close.
Or someone else that's really close.
That's right.
Okay, great. All right, so we're going to finish off with this song, but before we do that, a bit of housekeeping. Yes,
I'm
housekeeping.
sorry, I couldn't resist. Yes.
Stop it. All right. So, next week we're going to be talking about the 7 love types, because we already introduced that, and that's the 7 love types from our book, Navigating Love in a Fractured World, which is available for pre-sale on Amazon if you want to buy a copy already, and a free chapter that you can download when you join our email list. By the way, you're not going to be bombarded by emails, and all the emails are quite personal and on preventative mental health. So,
by the way, if you could already buy it, how's that pre-sale?
No, you can't. Well, you can pre-sale it and then you get it in a week.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so it's not available.
Well, it is available, but it's not available.
Okay, all right.
If you know, they know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so that's that. Next week, for our regular viewers, particularly not those that are watching afterwards, Dr. Heim has to do a talk next week in person. How's that? That's about a year since you've done a talk in person. It's been mainly virtually.
To
That'll
himself.
be fun.
Yes.
No, you're not going to have a talk to yourself. Well, he does need to have a talk to himself, but his friend self. No, in person. So to university students, actually. So Late Night Love is going to be on Wednesday night, same time, 10 p.m. New York, 7 p.m. LA, 1 p.m. Sydney. But next Wednesday night, not next Thursday night.
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to have to switch that round. So I hope you can join us with that. And we will be talking about the 7 types of love. And I think that's it. Oh yes, the mailing list, but yes, you can join up. I've already spoken about that. That's fine. If you've got any other further questions about love, there's a little bit of a comment in here.
A little bit of a comment?
I just see.
Please send a whole comment, all right? Don't just send a little bit of a comment.
That's a bit more of a hello, so thank you for that,
you.
David. Yeah, everything's on our website. And also we do have a blog at the moment about self-love, and a podcast I'm putting up tomorrow introducing love. So many resources about this going through all of our social media platforms at the moment.
Yeah, we're spending a lot of time on love because, quite frankly, that's what society needs at the moment.
We really need it. There's so much happening.
Not just all of society, but us as individuals.
Yeah.
All right? So the aim is to know about love so we can show our love.
Yeah, and if we are all... And obviously, I'm sorry, I'm going off the track here, but if we're not loving ourselves, then surely that comes out in aggression towards other people too. Yeah, sorry.
That's a good point.
Anyway, housekeeping time still. Finishing off with a song. So glad you could join us though. And what's our... Well, it's not a song, it's music today, isn't it?
Well, it's song. I'm just playing the song on the piano. It's a very well-known song. This is Whitney Houston from the 1990s. Excuse me. We miss Whitney because Whitney had a wonderful voice and she knew how to sing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so a bit of a story behind this. I looked through a whole lot of hip hop and rap songs to find a song for today, and I entered an amazing world, all right? But on the weekend, we visited some friends, and we won't mention Joy and Craig's name, okay, because they wouldn't like that. And they have this gorgeous piano, all right? And so I just gravitate to the piano because I love the piano. And there was some music on there. And what was it? It was a collection of songs by Whitney Houston. And The Greatest Love of All was part of that. And I thought, we will go to this song for today because it's a strange song. It's about the greatest love of all, which is loving yourself. But it starts off about children. Why does it start off about children? And there's a line in there that says, show them all the beauty they possess inside.
So beautiful.
So it's like this song links self-love with children.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
It is. So the aim is to show yourself all the beauty that you have inside. So when you get a chance, listen to the song, look at the words, and you will see how the compassion becomes a healthy self-love that includes everybody.
Lovely.
Not just yourself.
Great.
Whitney Houston, The Greatest Love of All.
This has been Dr. Caroline Heim and Dr. Christian Heim for Late Night Love. Love. We'll see you for more love next week.
Love to see you.